Men often say they want attention, affection, and constant care, but something shifts the moment you stop running after them. Psychologists now confirm the exact reasons why, and it comes down to a few powerful truths about how the human mind reacts to closeness and distance. Men talk about craving stability, reassurance, and someone who is always there, and in many ways, they truly believe they want that. Yet when it comes to attraction and desire, human nature follows deeper, hidden rules. What feels constant can quickly become ordinary, and the ordinary often loses its spark. But when that same presence suddenly becomes less available, the brain interprets it in a very different way. That is the moment when emotional chemistry changes, shifting from comfort to curiosity, from assumption to pursuit, from routine to wonder. It is all about understanding how presence and absence balance each other to create true value in a connection. These principles show exactly why stepping back often pulls a man closer, while chasing after him usually pushes him further away. Scarcity always creates value. The less available you are, the more his mind attaches importance to you. This is not simply an opinion or a nice theory. It is the scarcity principle in action. Human beings are naturally drawn to what is uncertain, rare, or harder to reach. If you are always the one running after him, replying instantly, or reshaping your life to fit around his, there is no scarcity. Everything becomes predictable, and predictability reduces urgency. When you begin stepping back, the entire tone shifts. Suddenly he wonders, if she is not chasing me anymore, then who has her attention? That single thought alone can awaken a subtle sense of competition in his mind. The possibility that someone else could hold your focus forces him to sharpen his own. This is not about trying to spark jealousy or about playing childish games. It is about showing clearly that you have your own life, your own world, and that your focus is not free but something valuable that must be earned. Over time, that sense of rarity transforms into respect. He realizes your moments carry meaning because you treat them that way, and once he notices, he begins to approach you differently, not because you demanded him to change, but because your quiet actions naturally raise the standard of how he should treat you. That small shift in perception changes how much energy, time, and intention he is willing to invest in you. Mystery also sparks his imagination. When you stop chasing, you automatically reveal less of yourself, and by holding back just enough, his mind begins to fill in the gaps. He starts to create his own image of you in his imagination, and that image often feels far more exciting than having every detail laid out too soon. Many men fall for the version of a woman they build in their own head, not for what is handed over to them right away. If you share every detail of your plans, your thoughts, your emotions, and your feelings immediately, there is nothing left for him to uncover. But when you allow things to unfold slowly, curiosity takes root. He begins to wonder about your activities, who you spend your time with, and what you might be thinking when you are quiet. That curiosity holds his attention because, in his mind, the story between you and him feels incomplete. Mystery does not mean being cold or secretive. It means allowing him to discover you one piece at a time. That slow reveal keeps him engaged while also giving him the space to invest emotionally. It is the difference between a movie trailer that spoils every scene and one that gives just enough to keep you eager for the full experience. By not chasing, you awaken his instinct to move toward you. Men are wired, through both biology and history, to hunt, to chase, and to achieve. When something comes too easily, the thrill fades quickly. If you are always the one running toward him, the roles reverse, and suddenly you become the pursuer instead of the prize. But when you step back, something stirs deep inside his subconscious. He feels a challenge, and challenge naturally creates desire. That is why challenge is so closely tied to attraction. Pulling back gives him the space to plan, to initiate, and to take steps forward without being prompted. That action of moving toward you with his own effort gives him satisfaction, the satisfaction of winning something meaningful rather than being handed it for free. That satisfaction deepens the bond because in his mind he has earned you through his actions. This is not about manipulation or games of hard to get. It is about balance. Accepting his effort without drowning it with your own creates a natural dynamic where desire can grow freely. You also show emotional stability when you stop chasing after him. Without saying a single word, your actions deliver a silent but powerful message. I am not desperate. I am whole on my own. That quiet confidence becomes magnetic. It shows that your joy and your identity do not depend on his approval or constant reassurance. Men sense neediness very quickly, and when they feel it, they often pull away, not because they dislike affection or care, but because neediness reflects emotional instability. Confidence, on the other hand, feels safe. It communicates that you can stand firmly on your own 2 feet, that being with him is a choice rather than a desperate requirement. Emotional stability allows you to set boundaries without being afraid of losing him. It also gives him the room to step up and contribute rather than feeling pushed or pressured into action. Over time, this strengthens the relationship because both people bring wholeness instead of emptiness. Your attention also becomes something that must be earned rather than something freely given, no matter what. When he has to put in effort to earn your time and energy, it transforms the way he values it. If your attention is always available, regardless of what he does, he will eventually take it for granted. But when your focus comes as a result of his actions, he treats it with greater care. Psychology shows us that people attach more value to what they have to work for. So if he calls, makes plans, checks in, or finds ways to stay involved in your life, that is him investing. And because he invests, he begins to care more deeply about keeping that connection alive. This is the hidden truth. Stepping back does not create distance. It creates meaning. It does not push him away. It gives him a reason to come closer. The less you chase, the more space you create for him to lean in. And in that space, respect, curiosity, effort, and attraction grow naturally. That kind of investment creates a much deeper connection because it builds a sense of ownership and responsibility in the bond. The more effort, energy, and time he puts into trying to win your attention, the more valuable and important that attention becomes in his mind. For you, this naturally balances the relationship. When you keep giving away your focus, affection, and energy freely without him putting in his share of effort, it can slowly drain you and create exhaustion, leading to a one-sided connection. But when you gently pull back and give him the chance to step forward, you allow space for him to either meet you halfway or show you through his actions that he won't. That answer comes on its own without you needing to push or beg. It reveals his level of seriousness without words. When you stop chasing, something powerful happens. You break his ego patterns. Many women fall into the habit of chasing, so when you refuse to do so, you disrupt his usual script and challenge what he expects. He is used to women giving him attention that feeds his pride, and once that cycle is interrupted, his mind has no choice but to shift. He begins to ask himself questions. Why isn't she running after me? Why isn't she trying harder? Am I not enough? And instead of weakening his interest, this puzzle often strengthens it. His curiosity grows, and with curiosity comes effort. Most men expect women to be the ones holding the connection together, pushing for clarity, or constantly showing interest. By not playing into that rhythm, you interrupt the pattern and make him think differently. That disruption can be extremely powerful. Instead of resting comfortably in the security of your affection, he begins to wonder where he truly stands. This question doesn't always create negative insecurity. It simply awakens his mind. Human beings are wired to circle back again and again to situations that don't match our expectations. When something feels unresolved, the brain keeps trying to solve it. That mental loop pulls his focus back to you, makes him think about you more, makes him reach out more, and inspires him to put more energy into the relationship. This is not about playing tricks or pretending. It is about freeing yourself from the cycle of overgiving, which only leaves you tired and undervalued. By stepping back, you create the space where he naturally wants to invest in you. At the same time, you remain firmly in your feminine energy when you stop pursuing. Chasing is an act of pursuit, and pursuit carries masculine energy. When you no longer chase, you return to your natural feminine presence, receptive, radiant, magnetic. This shift creates polarity, the natural tension that fuels attraction between two people. In relationships, polarity is like the pull of a magnet. One side leans in, the other receives, and together the pull between them grows stronger. Feminine energy is not about sitting still or doing nothing. It is about holding space, about allowing the other person to step closer. When you stand in your own energy instead of rushing forward, you wake up polarity again. And polarity is often the very thing that reignites passion and keeps it alive through the years. Men lean in more easily when they sense space and invitation rather than pressure or force. That is why pulling back does not weaken the bond. It often makes it stronger by restoring balance in the dynamic. By choosing to step back, you also create curiosity instead of control. The more predictable and familiar someone feels, the easier it is for the brain to tune them out. But when you live fully, following your own goals, priorities, and passions, you become someone he cannot easily put in a box. That unpredictability makes him pause and think, she's different. And once someone stands out from the usual pattern, the brain gives them more attention. Curiosity becomes its own form of emotional investment. And whenever someone invests mentally or emotionally, attachment naturally deepens. The more predictable you are, the easier it is for someone to push you aside mentally. By not chasing, you remove that predictability. Instead of being obvious and overly available, you become intriguing. That intrigue makes him want to know more. You don't have to be secretive or create unnecessary drama to achieve this. It simply means living your life fully, without structuring every move around him or making sure he always knows what you are doing. When he sees that you are independent, that you have your own world and your own rhythm, his attention naturally shifts. He no longer feels certainty, he feels curiosity. And curiosity is one of the strongest fuels for attraction. It keeps his mind reaching, searching for answers, wondering what you are thinking, what you are doing, and where he stands with you. When he cannot predict your every move, you stay in his thoughts far more often, and those thoughts slowly turn into an emotional pull that is based not on control, but on intrigue and desire. There is another powerful message in refusing to chase. You show him that you have standards. The very act of not running after him sends a clear signal. It says, I choose, I don't beg, I am not desperate for your time or your attention. This sets the tone of the relationship in a subtle but very strong way. It tells him your presence, your energy, and your love are not things to be taken for granted. They must be earned with respect, with consistent effort, and with genuine desire. This does not mean you build walls around yourself, play cold, or act like you are above him. It simply shows that you hold yourself in high value. You will not lower your standards or betray your own self-respect just to keep someone's attention. A man may be entertained by women who flood him with attention, but he becomes deeply captivated by the woman who makes him rise to meet her level. Once you understand these principles deeply, the way you relate to men begins to transform. The exhausting cycle of constantly running after their attention, questioning yourself, or worrying whether you are doing enough slowly fades. Instead, your focus shifts to self-worth, balance, and value. You begin to see that the right man responds to your energy naturally, because you no longer carry all the weight of the relationship. The beauty of this truth is that it applies not only in romance, but in every kind of relationship. People value what demands respect. They lose interest in what is given away too easily. When you embody these truths in the way you move, speak, and live, you naturally change the way people respond to you. And the best part is, you don't need to push, beg, or prove yourself to anyone. Scarcity creates value, boundaries create respect. When you give away endless time, energy, and presence, people take it for granted. But when you choose carefully where to give and when to give, others notice. A man who once believed he could have your attention whenever he wanted suddenly realizes that he cannot. And in that moment, your value multiplies in his eyes. His brain starts attaching weight and meaning to the times you do connect, because they no longer feel endless or guaranteed. Think about it like this. Whenever something feels rare, people automatically give it greater weight and importance. This is not about tricking anyone or playing clever games. It's simply about aligning with the natural reality of how human psychology works. Your time is not unlimited. Your energy is not endless. Both are precious resources, and when you start treating them as rare and valuable, you naturally teach him to see them in the same way. That small but powerful shift forces him to act with real intention, because deep down he knows that if he doesn't step forward, someone else eventually will. Scarcity creates focus, and when he sees that your energy is not thrown everywhere freely, he cannot help but pay closer attention. Mystery also plays a very powerful role in attraction because it keeps his mind constantly involved. When a story feels unfinished, the human brain has a hard time letting it go. It keeps circling back, looking for resolution. The less you reveal too quickly, the more he wonders about the parts that are still hidden. That curiosity works in your favor because it makes him invest thought and emotion without you having to push or chase. The brain loves solving puzzles, and when you let your personality, your passions, and your inner world unfold naturally instead of all at once, you become a living mystery. He finds himself eager to know more, drawn in again and again. And this is not about being closed off or distant, but about living your life fully in such a way that he has something meaningful and fresh to discover each time. When every detail isn't given away instantly, his imagination fills in the gaps, often in ways that make you appear even more fascinating in his eyes. Another layer in this is the natural hunter instinct many men carry. Men tend to value more deeply the things they have to pursue, the experiences they have to reach for, and the connections they have to earn. It is not that they cannot appreciate something given freely, but the depth of intensity is never the same. Think about how good it feels for anyone to achieve something that required effort. That pride and satisfaction are powerful because they bond us emotionally to the outcome. In relationships, this principle doesn't disappear. When you chase, you remove his chance to feel that satisfaction. But when you allow space, when you step back just enough, you give him the chance to move towards you. In doing so, he invests his energy into the bond, and that investment makes it far more valuable to him. His pursuit strengthens the connection, making it not only more intense, but also far more memorable. Sending signals of emotional security is another element that cannot be overstated. A woman who does not chase communicates a message of inner strength without having to say a single word. That kind of calm confidence is magnetic because it represents stability, and stability is one of the deepest longings human beings carry when searching for a partner. A man does not only want affection or attraction, he also wants the certainty that the person next to him has the ability to stand tall on her own without clinging to him for constant validation. When you embody that security, you show him you are not looking for someone to complete you, but someone to walk beside you. That distinction shifts the entire foundation of the relationship. He no longer sees you as dependent, but as a partner in every sense of the word. That realization makes him bring more effort forward because he senses that he is dealing with someone grounded, someone whole. When your attention feels earned instead of handed out without thought, it changes how he perceives the bond. Suddenly, your affection becomes a reward, something tied to his own investment. Psychologists describe this as the effort justification effect. It means people value outcomes far more when they've had to put in work to reach them. If you are always available with no effort on his part, he unconsciously starts to take the connection for granted. But when he has to show initiative, when he has to plan, when he has to show up with consistency, he begins to feel a sense of responsibility for the relationship itself. That responsibility breeds loyalty because it connects his choices and actions directly to the bond you share. He values what he invests in, and you benefit from that deep psychological truth. By not chasing, you also quietly disrupt his ego cycles. Many men are used to women boosting their egos with compliments, attention, or endless reassurance. But when you step away from that pattern, it unsettles him in a way that makes him think harder. He starts questioning the assumptions he has about women, about attention, about himself, and that questioning, instead of pushing him away, often pulls him in deeper. Because when something no longer fits the usual script, his brain cannot just dismiss it. He pays more attention. He wonders why you're different. He starts searching for the answer, and that search awakens a curiosity far stronger than the shallow ego boosts he might have expected. In fact, you become unforgettable because you did not play the same role others may have. Remaining in your feminine energy also keeps attraction alive over the long run. Feminine energy is about flow, about being receptive, about holding a magnetic presence. Masculine energy, on the other hand, is about direction, pursuit, and initiation. When you chase, you flip those natural roles, and the polarity that fuels attraction weakens. But when you hold steady in your feminine essence, he feels that pull to step forward in his masculine role. That polarity creates the spark, the tension, the desire that fuels passion. It is not about doing nothing, but about holding space with presence and grace. That space allows him to come toward you, to lean in, and together that balance builds a rhythm that makes both of you more connected. Curiosity is far more powerful than control. The less predictable your life appears, the more invested he becomes. This doesn't mean you hide yourself or play hard to get games. It simply means you live fully, pursue your passions, and resist the urge to provide constant updates. That independence shows him clearly that your world does not revolve around him, and ironically, that makes him want to be part of it even more. The very fact that he cannot put you in a box, cannot fully label you, keeps his mind engaged. Instead of assuming he already knows everything about you, he keeps coming back, trying to learn more. That act of thinking about you, wondering about you, imagining you, builds investment. Every thought about you is like another thread tying him closer, even when you're not there. By not chasing, you also communicate your standards without needing speeches. Standards are not about being cold or impossible to satisfy. They are about respecting yourself enough to only welcome genuine effort and clear intention. When you show through your actions that you won't beg for attention or settle for crumbs, you deliver a powerful message. Being with you is a privilege, not a right. That message doesn't scare the right men away. In fact, it attracts them even more. The ones who are unwilling to rise to your level naturally fall out of your life, leaving space for men who are ready to meet you with equal energy. This distinction ensures that your heart, your time, and your energy go only to those who actually recognize your worth. When you put all of these truths together, the dynamic of relationships transforms. The endless, exhausting cycle of chasing falls away, replaced by a healthier balance. balance. You no longer have to wonder if you're doing too much, because you naturally step into the magnetic position of being pursued. Attraction then becomes less about how constantly available you are, and more about the rhythm of presence and absence, of openness and mystery, of security and challenge. Men may claim they want constant attention, but what actually holds their interest is the balance. It's the pull and release, the curiosity mixed with comfort, the challenge blended with warmth. When you embody these principles, you stop worrying about how to keep him interested, because his interest no longer comes from your effort to hold it. His interest becomes the natural, inevitable response to the way you carry yourself, the way you value yourself, and the way you live your life with depth and grace.